welcome to Adarsh Vidyalaya Matriculation online class. Welcome to all children. Class 8, Subject Science, Unit 2, Forces and Pressure. In today's video, let's learn the advantages and disadvantages of friction. Friction plays a very important role in our day-to-day life. But at the same time, it also causes troubles to us. So, friction is a necessary evil. We will study both the advantages and disadvantages of friction in this lesson. First, let's study why and how the friction is necessary. That is, advantages of friction. Friction helps us to walk or move over any surface. It will be difficult for us to walk if there is no friction between the ground and the footwear. It helps us to hold things in our hands. Because of friction, we are able to hold pen or pencil and can be able to write. Friction helps us to stop and control the movement of vehicles, for example, brakes of car or brakes of bike. We can able to light the matchstick because of friction. When you rub the matchstick at the sides of the matchbox, friction produces heat and the heat produces fire. It is also difficult to fix the nail on the wall or driven a screw in a wooden block if there is no friction. We have seen most of the advantages of friction. Let's see some of the disadvantages one by one. It always acts in a direction opposite to the direction of motion. So this slows down the moving object. Yes, friction opposes motion. Then, the second disadvantage is friction produces heat energy and this heat energy causes the wastage of energy. Wear and tear of machinery parts. Machines are made up of many machinery parts. These machinery parts are properly moved and help the machines to function. Because of friction, a lot of unwanted heat is produced in the moving parts of vehicle and leads to damage the machines over time, as well as it leads to wastage of fuel, energy as heat. Now we know in certain situations friction is useful and in certain situations friction is not useful. So, depending upon the situation, we can find the ways to reduce the friction or increase the friction. Let's first have a look at the methods to increasing friction. First, by increasing the area of contact, we can increase the friction. Friction can be increased by increasing the area of surfaces in contact. Second, we can increase the friction by making the surface rough. So in rough surfaces, friction increases rather than the smooth surface. The tires of all kinds of vehicles have deep grooves called treads. These treads increase friction between the tire and the road, providing a better road grip. Have you seen the sole of a shoe which has grooves? It is done to provide the shoes a better grip with the floor so that you can walk safely. When a ground or surface becomes slippery after rain, sand is spread over it to increase friction. The sumo players, kabaddi players rub their hands with mud to get better grip. Now let's study the methods of decreasing friction. First, using lubricants. What is lubricants? A substance which reduces the frictional force is called a lubricant. Example, grease, coconut oil, graphite, castor oil, etc. These lubricants form a thin layer between the two surfaces in contact. It also fills the depressions in the surfaces, making them smooth. Lubricants significantly reduce friction. Example, friction in door hinges sometimes makes the door squeak. Putting few drops of oil reduces friction and the squeaking sound disappears. Similarly, we sprinkle talcum powder on a carom board. The powder reduces the friction between the striker and the carom board, This enables the striker to move smoothly on the board. So the oil, grease and talcum powder are also examples of lubricants. The second method of reducing friction is using ball bearing. What is ball bearing? Several small spherical balls placed between the two moving cylindrical surfaces. So the ball bearings are present in the tires of vehicles such as scooters, motors, cars, etc. These balls minimize the contact area and thereby reducing the friction. Now let's see a quick recap of today's lesson. Today we study the advantages and disadvantages of friction. The advantages are: friction helps us to walk or move. Friction helps us to hold things. Friction helps to write. Friction helps to light the matchstick, etc. The disadvantages are: friction opposes motion. Friction wear and tear of machinery parts and causes damage. Then we study the ways of increasing friction. First, the increasing the area of contact, and by making the surface rough, we can increase the friction. Then we study the ways to decreasing friction. First, using lubricants. If we use the lubricants, the friction can be reduced, as well as using ball bearings. Next, home fun. Students are asked to study the following questions and write as home test. Answer in detail. Friction is a necessary evil. Explain. Answer in brief. First question. Define friction. Give 2 examples of the utility of friction in day-to-day life. Second question. Write down 3 ways of minimizing friction. Third question. Why is the ball bearing used in a cycle hub? Thank you.